Right. Let me get the bumper ready. Not like last time.
No, Mr. Brown's from Taiwan. Huh. Who'd have known?
Who would have thought? All right. You ready? You ready, Andrew?
Yes.
Ooh, Attack Opportunity just went live. Crazy.
What was I talking about?
I don't know. Probably Lancer. Oh no, it's not Lancer.
No, unsubscribe. Unsub.
Actually, I mean, the Lancer people love our videos for some reason. So maybe we shouldn't change anything.
I mean,
all right.
I think the world's ready for big robots, man.
And I think so too, including our table apparently, because they were like, "Isn't the next thing big robots?" I'm like, "Ooh." Unprompted.
I didn't want to say anything, but because it's already on the table, and I didn't want to sell it any harder than I had to. But when I saw that, I was like,
"Yeah, I can only imagine." Yeah. All right, here goes. And welcome to another episode of Attack of Opportunity. Damn it, Andrew.
Which it didn't show up in the recording, so I'm just gonna edit that and post.
Yeah, you can somehow download it from your end, edit it in.
I mean, I'll just get the YouTube video from 14 years ago. It's all bit crushed and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, welcome to another episode of Attack Opportunity, a podcast all about things like RPGs and board games and video games and tabletop anything, honestly. This is your host, Jose,
hi.
And your other host, Andrew.
I'm not Jose. I don't know why I said hi when he said Jose.
Oh, hi, Jose. My name is Jose as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
I am also Jose, and then we assimilate. Whatever!
Freaking Colorado Space, 202 and 2.
Kill me!
It was bound to happen.
just some weird chimera creature.
Wow, we went dark real early. Today we're actually just talking about a new RPG that was kickstarted about 2 years ago, and it was released late last year, I believe, or early last year. We're talking about Avatar Legends, the RPG tabletop that doesn't use dice.
What?
We'll get into that in a minute.
Wait, what? So what do? You just convince people that...
So after that brutal assault by the Orc warrior, the initiative now goes to you. Jose, what do you do?
I'm gonna cast
God, that game is so good. Jeez.
We're back. I was muted this whole time for some reason. Sorry. So I just sent you a playlist that goes well with this Avatar theme RPG.
Wait, just send it on Discord? I haven't got anything yet.
On the Facebook, I believe.
I did not get anything on Facebook.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't hit enter. All right. So we're back. Andrew.
Huh?
In my exploration of more and more RPGs and just trying to buy every single RPG book to ever exist, I stumbled upon one that I thought it was going to be one of the greatest things ever because it just makes sense. About a year or so, 2 years ago or so.
And?
Well, we'll get to it, okay?
Oh, okay.
What does Jose think about this RPG? Whoa! Stay tuned to find out.
1 hour later. It's all right.
Yeah, so this one on Kickstarter, I can't remember the date. It was a couple years back, and I'm like, screw it. That sounds amazing. Let me just get it. I got like the tier above the PDF to get the actual print one.
Ooh.
Yeah. Little did I know, I thought it was Magpie, so it's kind of like a bigger publisher, but I wasn't expecting it to like reach the levels that it reached. It went for like $8 million.
Oh my god!
It raised like so much money, crazy. Like they even got like the original voice actors to like play the game and stuff, like full on. Like if you go through this like new art, like look, Avatar Roku, like it's beautiful. Like the whole book is just gorgeous. I got the books, I got like the extra stuff, the dice and the all their stuff, and I put it away. Completely forgot about it.
Well, I mean,
I haven't touched it since it released.
I mean, that's kind of that has unfortunately been the nature of all this stuff. Because like, what's it? Teresa got me Pathfinder and Starfinder, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And she's like,
right here with the other RPGs.
Yeah, and then like she gets on to me. She's like, no, I don't want to hear you talk about Lancer because you like got all this other stuff. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, we're booked for the next couple years. I can't help that.
Yeah. We're grown-ups now. We have a schedule. We have to stick to it.
It's just like, it's well, if you're so tired of D&D, why don't you just play something else? Like, we can't just stop.
Yeah, exactly. That's worse than season. If you do that, that's worse than season 8 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
okay? Stop.
Like I can't.
At least get a bad ending through.
Like I just there is no worse feeling than like a game that has just like slowly petered out. And you're just like, oh, I guess we're done playing, huh?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, but this one's still going strong. We are ready for big robots, which excites me. And eventually, I think Andrew and I are gonna have a powwow, and he's gonna like download all his knowledge through USB Type C into my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm gonna run the game, which is gonna be great.
you're gonna notice that there's like a lot of like missing information and like, oh no.
oh wow, I thought you knew more than this.
Oh, he's just been improvising this whole time.
I thought you knew what you were talking about. Oh shit.
No, a good 40% of my DMing is me in a cold panic trying to scramble.
All those YouTube comments make so much sense.
Anyways.
All right. So Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Korra, and whatever, the legends. So I went through the book. I didn't go. I've been reading it, but I don't think like I have the confidence to really deep dive. So today we're doing an overview.
Okay.
Of the full RPG. I find it, first thoughts, very light. It's weird. It's like it's definitely is aimed towards like younger, like teenage, maybe a little younger than that type players. However, the more I read, the more I'm like, they have stuff here that Andrew and I have talked about other RPGs should implement. Yeah,
like,
and you'll see what I'm talking about in a couple minutes.
Okay.
But the first thing is that I noticed is the build quality of the book is excellent, and the way it's organized, it's also beautiful. It's so easy to find information. And look at this, Andrew. Look at this. Hold on.
I'm looking.
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
I'm waiting.
Not one, but 2 bookmarks.
Is that so hard?
Like, why that's not a thing in other big ass books like this?
Man,
Come on.
I don't know. I kind of like my own weird, wonky fucking system I got going on here.
Honestly, that system is pretty good if you ask me. But like imagine the Dungeon Master Guide with like that kind of stuff.
And it's not that hard. You just glue on a ribbon.
It's 2 things that I noticed, and I'm like, wow, I wish other books would do this. Anyways, but the game overall is easy to read. It's very, very well laid out. So I'm gonna go through the chapters just because it just makes sense.
All right.
First chapter, very simple. It's just what is an RPG, just like every other RPG book that you buy. What's an RPG? How do you play an RPG? That kind of stuff. However, this one has a couple of small tools to help new players and DMs kind of like navigate uncomfortable situations. They call them safety tools. They have lines and veils, and the X card. It's essentially kind of like what we talked about, where like us as experienced dungeon masters and gamers,
like where to
kind of talk,
where to stop,
where to fade to black, or the X card is like there's a card on the table.
Okay.
Pick it up.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the lines and veils, where lines like you don't cross it, veil is like it's like if we talk about murder, it's like, oh, it's kind of, you know, yeah,
in the background, yeah.
And then the X card is just if you're going into uncomfortable territory, someone can just pull up the X card, like, all right, we're done.
They just talk about it and then they move on.
Yeah,
exactly. Which I thought it was pretty interesting that they included it. Also, when you read this, you can tell they definitely do like, okay, we want to hit the biggest demographic possible, not just RPG players, because the way they explain RPGs is like how I wish the original D&D book would have explained it to me.
Okay,
like that makes sense. Like it's just like, you know, I think every D&D book has like a paragraph of like, what's an RPG, how do you play it?
Yeah.
And then that's it. It moves on to the rest. This has like 4 pages of just like, how do you talk? Like, how do you role play? Like, you know, what is like in character, out of character? Like everything in between. I'm like, wow, okay. Because I was reading it and I'm like, wow, this sounds really interesting. Wait.
No,
this is just for new players.
Please tell me it has like the cringy like dialogue between people that are playing examples. Because
through the whole book.
Oh my god, I love that, because like I think when I was like reading Starfinder or something like that, it's like oh, Zeldar the blah blah blah. Well, I'm going to roll for pickpocketing. Oh, you rolled low. Oh, dadgummit. And nobody fucking talks like this.
To be fair, it's not that cringy.
Okay.
At least they made it sound more conversational, like actual people.
Yeah. It's me being a dark elf of the blah blah blah. You're okay. Stop. We already established this 17 sessions ago. We know you have dark vision.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just chapter 1. Chapter 2 is my favorite chapter because holy shit, explains everything about the Avatar verse.
Wait, hold on. So the first chapter is just what's a role playing game?
It's literally like 8 pages.
Starting in
plus the tools. Like, what is an RPG?
A man named Gary.
Okay, not that far back. Like, all right, so war games.
Okay, hold on. So there was this war game. It was based on the No, listen.
That's exactly how it starts. Like, they write that down. No, listen.
Let me finish.
Don't turn the page. It's
John,
important
you can't add this. It's all in there. Like, John, you can't add this. They need to know. It's important to the structural integrity of the game. Anyway.
Yeah, no, they keep it very top level, but very digestible. The second chapter is the Avatarverse.
Okay.
The interesting thing about this RPG is that they give you the whole world of the Avatar, but they also give you eras.
Ooh,
You're
okay.
gonna play. So they have the Kyoshi era. First of all, how familiar are you with Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Very surface level. So.
Okay. So, do you remember Kyoshi? She's one of the avatars.
Is that
the Earthbender lady?
Is that the one that's like cold-blooded killer?
Yeah, no, it's like, kill him. Yeah.
Just snap his neck.
Yeah. So they have the Kyoshi era, the Roku era, the 100-Year War era, the Aang era, and the Korra era.
Okay.
Depending on which era, you determine this as you're setting up your game. Depending on which era you play, you pick certain things change in the world.
Okay.
So the Kyoshi era deals with governmental corruption and as nations establish their borders. So this is before even Aang.
Okay.
Right when nations are starting their borders. So this is also top level. It's not like deep. The Roku era deals with tensions between different nations and the trials of maintaining an uneasy peace. Because if you remember, that's when. Oh wait, probably don't. So Roku is the fire avatar.
Okay.
And he essentially told the Fire Lord he like slapped him in the hand. He's like, no, you can't do that. Like, taught him a lesson. So there's a lot of tension between the Fire Nation. This is before the 100-Year War.
Right. That
killed everybody. Then there is the 100-Year War, which
is when the Fire Nation attacked, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Rebels against unjust rule, protect the weak, and stand up to tyranny. Then you have the Aang era, which happens right after the end of Avatar: The Last Airbender. heals the world after tragedy and helps push into a brighter future.
Oh, so that's weird. So
Or-
so it doesn't take place in the show. It takes place after the show. Okay.
Because technically, the 100-Year War is
Oh, it's part of the. Okay.
part of, yeah, like the very tail end of it.
Gotcha.
The Korra era deals with the repercussions of imperialism and plays more into a modern era.
Okay.
So that's at the end of Korra. So my thoughts on this whole chapter is that it's very well broken down. It's actually very, very impressive the way because they have I don't know how many pages on the whole world, and then they have almost mini chapters on each one of the eras. And for each one of the eras, they have like tools for the GM, like what is happening in this world, like very specific things, you know, like betrayal and loyalty, abuse of authority, law and order, and it breaks down like what is happening. So it's like almost you're getting not just the world. So it's almost like you got the D&D world, but not just the sword coast. You get like everything else.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, in one go. So it tells you like who are the important players around this time.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, obviously in the 100-Year War will be like Siosen, whatever the hell the Fire Lord name is. He will be one of the big ones. Uncle Iroh, Zuko, Aang. These are legendary characters that you may or may not encounter.
Ah.
You know? Yeah, it's like, ooh. Which is pretty cool. So you have the big world of the Avatar, how bending came to be,
Mm-hmm.
the history behind that.
So like what? So it gives you mechanical, like, I guess, like different mechanics for each era, or is it just world building solely?
World building.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like, oh, if you're in this era, then the Fire Nation has +2 on everything.
Right.
No, it's just more like, one thing I noticed about this game is that doesn't have a lot of intense mechanics. It really pushes the player and the DM
Mm-hmm.
or the GM to roleplay and build the story.
Well,
And you're gonna see this very clearly. No, but gonna see very clearly
okay.
through some specific mechanics once we start getting into character building and conflict. But I think this is like 100 pages of just world building. The
Oh
world-
wow.
Yeah.
How many
50.
pages is the entire book?
296.
Oh, so like a good chunk of it is just like the lore and
No,
stuff
I
like
lied.
that?
It's 58 pages. In the
Well, that's a pretty sizable
Yeah, it's
chunk.
It is. It broke it down into exploring the history, the 4 nations, the world of balance, navigating the eras, the Kyoshi, the Roku, the 100 Years, Aang, and the Korra era. And each one of like I told you, each one of those eras have like very specific things that are happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's all tools for the GM to kind of build the story or help build the story.
Okay.
And it goes everything from like just political to technology and like how to get around and stuff like that. Because obviously in Korra you have vehicles. but,
Yeah.
like in Aang you had like animals and stuff like
Right. Yeah. I do remember little snippets of Korra where it's like, here's an automobile, and you're like, what the fuck?
that. It's like, man, war really held back this nation. All right, so chapter 3 deals with. Let me move to chapter 3. Chapter 3 deals with the core mechanics of the game. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have pulled my little bookmarks.
Oh no. Here's my bookmarks. Ah, shit, I lost my place.
Look how pretty they are. Oh no. Yeah, the fundamentals of play. So here's the interesting thing, Andrew. The GM doesn't roll any die.
What? Wait, how?
That's what I said. So the whole system works on a 2d6 die system. That's it. It's just 2d6. That's all you need.
Okay.
Anything above a 7 is considered a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Anything below it is a miss. From 7 to 9 is a I forgot what they call it. Not a soft hit or whatever. And then anything above a 9 and above is like a critical essentially.
Okay.
The GM does not roll any dice. They just determine what the player's dice do.
I'm
That
very
was
confused.
That was my reaction also. The more I read, the more it makes sense. But essentially the way it works is and I think your brain is going directly to like mechanics. Encounters.
Right.
Like, how does it work with encounters? I don't want to skip there quite yet, but essentially, there's no like hit above this number do this much damage.
Okay.
You don't have like a +2 sword that adds a +2 to this, and then you do that much damage. It's all narrative. It's all narration.
Okay.
So a 7 to 9, you achieve what you were trying to do, but something detrimental happens as well.
Oh, okay. So it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a gradient. Kind of.
Yeah, and 9 and above is you get it, and something extra good happens on top of what you.
Okay. So it's kind of like I mean, probably not exactly, but it's kind of like how in Lancer, outside of mech combat, if you're doing something, there's like a success and then like a critical success or whatever the proper term is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Very much so. Yeah.
Okay.
This game pretty much assumes that like, if there's no question that it can be achieved, it happens. Right?
Okay.
So it's up to the players and the GM to kind of talk through that, and this includes encounters.
Okay.
If you're heroes, and if you encounter a bunch of like a thief or something, right? It is like given that all 5 of you will beat the shit out of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
It automatically achieves. You just have to narratively explain it and talk through it. You have to tell the story, right? The only time, and this is like a whole like there's like 2 big old blocks of text, almost discouraging you from actual combat. Like it's like no, like you use these skills, and we'll get there in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
You use these skills, and if none of these skills apply, then you move to actual conflict, like actual combat.
Okay.
But like you have like all this stuff, you do the rolls, you know, the 7 whatever, and things happen. But like if it's something that just a firebender will set the house on fire, it will happen, because obviously it will happen. It's fire on a
So
house.
this seems. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this seems like a bit more of like a pacifist kind of play.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're gonna get one of. I don't know if I'm in love with this, but we'll get there in a minute when it comes to character creation.
Okay.
But for now, just remember that 2d6. I mean, it's really easy. It's just 2d6. 7 to 9 happens.
For everything.
For everything. 7 to 9 happens. But something 7 to 9 you achieve, but something bad happens.
Mm-hmm.
9 and plus you achieve it, and then something good also happens besides.
Okay. All right. It's kind of weird that they're breaking away from the D20, but I
forgot they named the system. I completely forgot what it was called about. It's like an actual system that already exists. They just molded it into this.
Well, I know. Yeah, I know there are some different systems outside the D20.
Yeah.
But
there's no health. It's a fatigue system.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think it's like 5 fatigues, and different things can like make you tired.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to like rest or heal or whatever to kind of like
No,
go back to normal.
No, I'm tired.
I'm tired. A lot of the skills that I've been mentioning, the basic core skills, they always have like if you achieve it, this happens. But if you miss, do this or take 1 fatigue. That kind of like.
Does it have a character sheet?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna look that up while you're, because I'm very curious now as what these look like. Keep going.
The other mechanic that's also unique, and I'm not 100% understanding of it, but I kind of get a grasp of the concept, is the balance system.
Okay.
In the game, the balance system, you have 2 principles that are in conflict with each other. For example, restraint and result, right? And in your character sheet, there is a little bar, it's like the koi fishes from the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm seeing
you're
it.
trying to be balanced in the middle, and throughout the game, this is determined by your playbook, and the playbook is essentially just your class. And then through the game, you are trying to stay in balance. However, this is a very interesting mechanic to me, because it's a mechanic obviously designed to push roleplay. Because let's say that your two principles are in conflict, and your balance stat is restraint and result, right, is you're trying to get results, or you're trying to restrain yourself from like using violence.
Okay.
Right. So a character that leans more into results will have less restraint and will do what's needed to get results, and vice versa. A character that have more restraint will not act to get results. So it's almost a mechanic to help you roleplay your character. And there's different things that makes them go up and down, or not up and down, but like either left or right. If you go too much to an extreme, you come out of balance. And the example that they use is Azula in the show, like how she like was completely out of balance at the end.
Right.
And it has detriments, like things that happen to your character, including joining the enemy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how are these two things on balance? How are they determined? Is it something?
So there's something called a playbook, which is your class essentially.
Okay.
And I'm not going through it in a minute, but essentially what it is you have a class, and each class has these are your two principles.
Okay.
The cool thing about this, and I'm kind of jumping all around here, and I'm trying not to, but like the cool thing about this, Andrew, is that while it does help you roleplay your character, depending on how it's happening, even other players can affect your balance. They can call you out on your bullshit, or they can like help you become like they have like a thing to like help you heal and become.
Well, that makes sense, because like if you're on one end of the of the spectrum on either end, like if I'm having a bad day, sometimes chatting it out with my friends kind of helps me out. So
but mechanically it's also there. Like it's there's like +2, +3, +4, minus, like depending on what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
In that I don't know if you were able to see the chart, how it looks like.
No. I see it where it's it has the two coils. Yeah.
The cool thing about this, in character advancement, if you're too much to one side and you decide to advance, you can actually switch your playbook, or not your playbook, your playbook to another one, because you now become a different class, essentially.
For better or for worse, or
for better or for worse.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you're like too much into, and we'll go over it here in a minute, how it can like change they call them playbooks, but it's essentially just your class.
So if, from what I'm understanding is like you want to be at +0 for like do you want to maintain center, or do you want to?
So this is something that I need to play to find out.
Okay.
Because it sounds to me like depending on what you're doing and what needs to be done, you want to be on either side.
Okay.
Right? Because you want that +2 to whatever restraint, or that +2 to courage, or whatever it is that you're trying to. But you also get, if another skill needs to be checked, you'll get a negative as well.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of the things that I won't know how I feel about it until you actually play it. And we'll go a little bit more into depth. We'll talk more about it when I get to character creation. But the other thing that I also noticed is this is the part, Andrew, that I'm not sure if I like about this, right?
Okay.
So here's how you start a game, according to the book. You choose an era, right? Whatever era you're gonna choose. That's kind of cool. We already kind of talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
What could happen in between. But here's what is expected of the players. And this is in the book, like it's written, right? You are skilled martial artist. Okay, cool, right? Obviously, duh.
Yeah.
But then the next one is you have answered the call willingly. So it's already assumed that you answer the call willingly.
Okay.
You aren't killers or villains. You're friendly. And you're still growing, and that one's fine. You're still growing and learning.
Right.
And the book says that you always play a team of heroic young companions. So it's like, it feels a little limiting in my opinion. But is it me just because we've played so many RPGs where you can just like go batshit crazy?
I mean,
you do?
It does seem a little railroady, but it's also like you got to kind of remember where the source material is. Like they're obviously trying to nail like the Avatar show, and so like I get that. If it was and with the whole like what you just explained to me about the balance and like how your friends can help you maintain or swing the balance both ways, like it doesn't seem like a more like evil potential like, oh, we're gonna go rob some people and loot this
Yeah.
orphanage or some crap like that.
Yeah.
You know, it does seem like a much more like, hey, let's like, hey man,
Family friendly.
what's wrong? Like you like let's
Oh, it's literally Uncle Iroh when he gets robbed. It's
Yeah.
like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
your stance is all wrong.
let's talk this out, you know? So-
Yeah. No, I get it. It's just the fact that it's in the book and it's like you're always heroic, you're always friendly, you're always willing to answer the call. Like that. I don't know. Even though I always play that character, you know what I mean? When I'm playing D&D, it's like, yes, of course I'm friendly. Yes, of course I'm gonna answer the call.
But the fact that
But,
someone's saying you have to be this way, like,
Yeah.
you know?
But hey, it's obviously aimed for a younger demographic, so I
Yeah.
right? So then let's move on to chapter 4, setting up your game, right? The first thing you have to do is set up an era, then your scope. The era determines the time frame you're in.
Uh-huh.
The scope is this like a neighborhood deal you're gonna be like dealing with, or is this like, oh, we have to take down the Fire Lord, like a whole world thing?
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just
Save
the size of your
save a kitten or kill God. Yeah, we got it.
exactly. Yeah, or both. Then with your players, you will choose a group focus, which is your goal. Like, what are you trying to do? So it's very, you do it with your players. It's not like the, I guess the DM could come up with it as well by itself, but like it's encouraged that you on the table, session 0, you're kind of like, okay guys, what are we doing? And the way the game is kind of structured, it's literally like a TV show. It's a season and then episodes. Yeah, and then there's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Huh. Well, how? Wait, what do you mean?
And so like an episode is essentially just a session.
Okay.
The idea is to solve something. You got an episodic something that happens in that episode, whether it is, you know, master a technique like Aang and Soku and Suko did at the end of season 3, whatever, when they go see the dragons. Or like when Katara goes to hunt that guy that killed her mom and stuff like that. Like,
Okay.
it's episodic, but you have a through line, or you just do one episode.
And then that's it. Like you're just like,
And
okay.
that's it. If you want, yeah. Like it's up to you. So it's that's kind of like where the scope comes in as well. Like, what is the point of this?
Right.
A full season will be, oh, we're trying to get to the north water tribe to train Aang. Everything that happened in between is literally an episode. Like that could play out with your players.
Okay.
Per episode, like all the little ones, like meeting the Kyoshi warriors, or like finding Omashu, like that kind of stuff.
Now, does it give you like examples of how?
Yeah.
Like, okay, all right, because like I like doing the episodic idea, but it just seems like it kind of goes back to there's no such thing as a one shot. because they're like, you think you have all this idea compressed down for one adventure, and the next thing you know, it's like either a long weekend or, we just run a 7-hour long session. So
Right. Which I mean, but then that comes down to the table specifically. Yeah. So the next thing is creating your character. You're the hero. So the first thing is you choose a playbook, and the playbooks are your classes. So the classes are as follows. I thought they had like a nice little graphic. The adamant, they will fix the world. Will fix the world even if it means breaking all the rules. Play the adamant if you want to be content with what doing right means in a complicated world.
Okay.
The bold fights to live up to their self-image and earn others' trust and confidence. Play the bold if you want to build your reputation and leadership skills. The guardian defends someone close to them, steadfast and watchful. Play the guardian if you want to be the first to see danger coming and the last line of defense. The hammer, strong, tough, and looking for a disturbing face to punch. Play the hammer if you want to grapple with what force can and can't solve. The icon comes from the ancient tradition and inherits some serious standards to live up to. Play the icon if you want to be torn between your heart and your duty. The idealist has a past full of suffering. It's tragedy that strengthens their beliefs. A pillar, an experienced team player, a leader, a famous group of warriors. Play the pillar if you want to be a savvy tactician who binds a team together. The prodigy not only excels at their training, but has taken in even beyond their master's teaching. The rogue is a rule breaker, a joker, a delinquent, and a figure on the fringe who snipes at the people in charge. The successor comes from a powerful, tarnished lineage. Play the successor if you want to struggle against your lineage and time your draw. And threatens to draw you in. So these are the classes, and each one of these gives you stats, plus and minuses to different basic skills.
That's crazy that those are the classes, because those sounds like more like backgrounds than anything else. But
there's also backgrounds that add to the class,
oh
to the playbook. Yeah. And then it goes into like, you know, where you come from, earth, water, fire, nation. But then you choose your training and fighting style, which is water bending, air bending, earth bending, fire bending, weapons, and or technologies.
Technologies.
Yeah, like if you don't wanna be a bender, you can just it's an artificer essentially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And weapon is soccer, like,
you know.
Yeah. That kind of stuff. Really interesting thing about the game, but the bending is not spells. It's free flowing and up to the imagination of the player.
Really?
Yeah. So there's no like, oh, earth bending, wall destroy, level 1. Like there's nothing like that. It's like I said earlier, like it's very narrative focused.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you an earthbender and you decide like, oh, they're following us, I want to put up a wall of dirt. There's nothing you have to roll. That just happens. It comes up.
Because you're
the only time
you're an earthbender. Yeah.
Right. You don't have to do a 30-second dance to throw a little pebble.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Or do you need a source of fire in order to be a firebender? Like
with a little lighter.
Come on.
Oh my god, he doesn't need a source.
God, that
was so wild.
You know I'm gonna do if I'm gonna play a character, I'm gonna play as 5 earthbenders. That all they do is just dance and one sad little rock gets thrown. That was oh man, I think that was the moment where I'm like, all right, turn this off.
Yeah, bro, that was bad.
That's my experience with Avatar, by the way. What's the movie?
No. Andrew, you have to watch the actual series.
I don't know.
It's so good.
I don't know.
So the bending is free flowing, is creative. It like encourages creativity. There's no limit to what you can do.
Okay.
The only limit comes in the special techniques that are in the book. I haven't gone through all of them. But it's like I think one of them is like a fire tornado or whatever.
Okay.
Something intense like a master would do or something.
So
then you have to roll certain things to like make that like it either misses right from 7 below, or it happens, but then you burn. You started a fire that started taking off, and somebody has to put that out.
Right.
Or 9 and above, you hit it and you took only the guys and nobody else. Like that's kind of how it works.
So
and there's no health, so it's like, oh, this inflicted fatigue on these people. And now they're
tired.
Combat is no, it's not about tired. I want to get to combat in a minute, but like they're essentially just kind of like, hey, yo, I don't want to fight right now. I'm gonna walk away.
Oh,
like,
okay.
You can talk in between. It's encouraged to, not encouraged. It's weird the way battle is structured, and we'll get to it in a minute. But like,
so if it's like oh, we need a way to cross the river, you know, like this raging river or something like that. Well, I'm an earthbender. I'll just make a bridge.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
All right, cool.
Yep. Pretty much. Yep. Yep.
All right.
Essentially, yeah. Oh, they're following us. Make a pit. Make a pit, and you know.
Okay. All right.
It really encourages like storytelling.
I really feel like I'd have to like play this to really understand, because I feel like there's a bit too much murder hobo in the table's DNA right now to really. Like
I squish him with 2
I'm gonna put fire on my thumbs and gouge his eyes out. Oh, okay. I'm gonna use my water bending to get all his blood out. It's called blood bending. It's canon.
Oh my god.
Hey, you know what?
Maybe they they were able to get out liquid metal from Chorus through her skin, so I'm gonna get their blood out through their skin.
Hey, you know what, guys? Maybe this wasn't a good idea. Maybe we should just go back to D&D.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a family-friendly, like light-hearted type of adventure, and we just turn it into.
I'm gonna airbend the air out of his lungs. I can do this.
He's just a shopkeeper.
Nope. Give me your cabbages.
Oh man. Oh fuck. Oh. Anyways, so yes.
What would Uncle Iroh do? Kill everybody? Okay, no.
No.
Post-war.
Later.
Post-war.
Later season. Yeah. You know what? Maybe we shouldn't play this good.
Yeah, this was a bad idea. I am genuinely interested in playing this. Actually, hold on. Well, keep going. Keep going.
We're about to get into the actual like skills and stuff.
Okay.
So chapter 5 is core moves. So core moves is what they call essentially skills and abilities here.
Mm-hmm.
Balance. What did I write down? Yeah. Core moves are like your essential abilities. So like an example of it is the first one that's here is assess the situation, which is like perception or intelligence. Or whatever.
Okay.
So the skill is, or the move is, when you assess a situation, roll with creativity. That's part of your stats. On a 7 to 9,
creativity is a stat. Okay.
Yeah. On a 7 to 9, ask 1 question. On a 10 plus, ask 2. Take +1 ongoing when acting on the answer. I don't know what the last part means because I haven't played it. So some of the, it's like, well, what here can I use to blank? Who or what is the biggest threat? What should I be on the lookout for? What's my best way out in through? Who or what is the greatest danger, or is in the greatest danger? Just an example of that.
So is this like if you go into town and you see there's something like not quite right about it, you'll use like I'm going to use assess the situation, and if you roll badly, you just get no information from the town.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That makes
7
sense.
and above.
Gotcha.
But remember, you're rolling 2d6s. The chances of you rolling a 7 is.
Yeah, I know, but what if you get like snake eyes? It's just like, oh, they run you out of town because they think you're a witch or some shit.
No. So yeah, no. It's not like us. Like we're like, oh, it's a fail. You're gonna get burnt.
Yeah.
Like, no, just nothing happens. It just looks like a regular town.
You try to assess the situation, and then the fire guy comes with the gouges your eyes out.
Now you're blind.
And then the airbender sucks all the air out of your lungs.
And then the earthbender crushes you with a.
Yeah, the earthbender takes all the iron and your blood and spikes it out.
Oh my god!
That's what you get for having spinach today.
Another one of the skills here for as another example is guide and comfort.
Okay.
Quite literally, an actual like basic move. They have intimidate, bleed, push your luck, and rely on your very important one, rely on your skill and training. So this one is when you rely on your skill and training to overcome an obstacle, gain new insight, or perform a familiar custom. Roll with focus. On a hit, you do it. On a 7 to 9, you do it imperfectly. The GM tells you how you approach my lead to unexpected consequences. Accept the consequences or mark 1 fatigue.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
You can trick someone.
Yeah,
Help someone.
I would.
I mean, each one of the skills has a full page, so that's kind of like what I'm trying to get at. Like, it's not just. It gives a lot of tools for the GM to kind of like be able to tell the story, to like move the story along.
I feel like weirdly enough, this would probably be easier for someone to understand if they never played a TTRPG before, because
100%, or at least not the common ones.
Yeah,
'cause I'm sure there's some out there that are like very much like this.
Yeah, because we're so used to like the 3-pillar structure of D&D that it's like, wait, like the ones that have more narrative focus kind of feel weird and alien to me.
Yeah, it does. So then after the core moves, you have balance moves. These moves are called call someone out or live up to your principles. These can change combat and social encounters in the future. Again, because depending on where you are in your balance, and I'm not an expert on the balance thing because it's kind of alien to me, like you just said.
Mm-hmm.
But people can do this to you. You can do it to enemies and move their balances around. And based on that, it can affect rolls for combat or for social encounters in the future. You can put a minus or a plus.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, I would love to, if we play it, to really dive into how this works and how we
Yeah.
experienced it, because it's very flowy. If it's quite literally like it's like the show. It's like very push and pull. There's no
No.
there's no definite.
No, I'm getting. I'm just personally, I'm just having the hardest time wrapping my mind around it. Where it's just like, you can't just
Me too. In the
you can't just hit your way out of a situation.
Exactly. You can't. I mean, no, wait. You can, but you don't have to roll for it. It's not like, oh, I have a +2 sword, plus my strength, plus whatever, and the AC is only 11. I just kill him in one go. No,
Right.
like, the game just assumed that if you have a +2 sword, you don't have to roll. You obviously kill the commoner.
Right, but you also said the game doesn't try to promote like conflict and violence and stuff.
Yeah, I wrote down here the combat within the system really pushes roleplay and creativity. And I have, before actual rolling the dice for combat, most combat can be resolved with the rely on your skills and training skill.
Okay.
So it's more of a roleplay situation, but if the fight is against a BBEG or the culmination of a story arc, then it moves into the push and pull of combat exchanges. That's what it's called, combat exchanges. Page 146. So combat exchanges is what the actual freaking combat thing is.
Okay.
It's 4 pages of like just what you're supposed to do. What I wrote down on my thoughts on it is, or what I wrote down here is, an exchange is not time, but more of a cinematic tension. So it's not roll for initiative. Every round is 6 seconds.
Right.
Cinematic tensions. Actual combat is written to lead into more creative approaches and not just roll above this, take this much damage. Instead, you use your basic skills and advanced skills to physically or mentally break your opponent.
Okay.
My thoughts on this, so just cinematic tensions. Because if let's say that there's your group of 4, they encounter a bunch of firebenders.
Mm-hmm.
Because firebenders automatically are bad, right? That's how it works. Let's say that it's a town. For the example they have here, kind of what I read is it's a town. A bunch of firebenders are attacking.
Mm-hmm.
Two of the baddies is just a group of like smaller soldiers. Then you have Zuko's sister, and then Zuko's in your team.
Right.
Zuko will focus on Azula.
Right.
Right. While the other 2 are trying to fend off these guys, and then the waterbenders putting fires out. Right. So that's what's happened all at the same time. But in play, the only thing that has quote unquote turn order is the combat between Zuko and Azula.
Right, because those are
they have beef. They're like there's some story moment here. There's something that is happening. Therefore it's a cinematic moment.
well, also they're like
play it out.
equally matched or something like that.
Yes, but also if there was no Azula, but then the culmination of this episode was just being attacked by 20 firebender soldiers or whatever, that then becomes the cinematic moment.
Okay.
And then let's say that each player deals with 5.
Right.
And it all happens simultaneously. There's no turn order, but there's a, what do they call it? There's a running or exchanges. And an exchange is literally the moment the fight actually happens. Like whenever there is a fireball sent out and a water thing that happens, there is a couple of like things you have, steps you have to do, whether you're defending on whatever it is that you're doing. You roll for those, you resolve that, and then the exchange ends. Then you can role play, you can talk, you can distract, you can trap them, you can do whatever you want to solve the situation. It doesn't just have to be that one fight. But if you want to keep fighting, then you go at it again, and then it's another exchange. So it's like you go into quote unquote turn order only when there's a physical contact.
Okay.
Fight.
But
does that help a little bit?
But
I know it's weird because it's very fluid.
No, well, it seems okay. It also seems like whatever has the biggest narrative impact is what is the turn order, I guess.
Turn order, yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm just trying to, like I said, just this is all Greek to me. It's
it's weird because it's like it's very open compared to what we're used to for combat,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's very just like
Focus.
focus. Like it's weird because so then it goes into stuff like as you're fighting, you haven't done the first contact yet, so you're not in that quote unquote turn order.
Mhm.
You can ask for assess situation, and if you roll, let's say you roll a 7 to 9, it tells you, oh, some buildings are on fire. There's some civilians in the backhand. You're a waterbender, right? And then they mention like, oh, there's not, you don't see sources of water around you.
Okay.
If you roll at 12 and whatever and higher, you're like, oh, there's actually a grate under them with water flowing through, and you see sources of whatever the hell you know, like you describe more of the situation. This can happen in between the fight as they're going through, because remember, it's a martial art type movie. Like it's like the lesser bender.
Right.
So like there's a lot of things that happen between the you know the back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, in a weird way, that kind of appeals to me because I always like to have narrative stuff going on in combat, but it always just seems like whenever I try to set that up, I have to work around the mechanics, you know. But if the mechanics set you up for a narrative like conflict, then I don't know. That seems kind of interesting. I'd be very interested in trying something out like
yeah. I also something I didn't go into that is very important, but I don't have quite the grasp of it because I haven't played it, I haven't experienced it. Is that when you do the exchange, there's approaches that you have to choose: defend and maneuver, advance and attack, or evade and observe. And each one of these have different outcomes. And then for each one of them, you roll a different stat. So for defend and maneuver, you roll focus. For advance and attack, you roll with passion. With evade and observe, you roll with creativity or harmony. PC's choice.
Okay.
And then there's like steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to solve that specific exchange of blows. Not the whole combat, just that specific change of blows.
Okay.
Because remember, they're benders, so like I don't know if you ever saw that moment in Korra where like they're fighting that lady that shoots like explosions out of her forehead. Okay, there's a moment that in like a blink of an eye, there's two sisters. One sister goes and distracts her, and she goes to shoot her with the explosion, and the other sister takes off her metal armor, wraps her around the enemy's head, and closes it, and she blows her own head off.
Oh, jeez.
And that happens like that.
Okay.
So like lethal stuff like this happens really quickly. So because there's 7 steps, it's not like D&D where like you fight in a goblin and it could take I don't know how many fucking rounds because the goblin just happens to be super evasive that one day. You know, so that's kind of like they say, like if it makes sense that it will just happen, like oh, this a silly soldier, I'm gonna set his butt on fire. That just happens.
Right. Yeah.
He's not paying attention.
Okay, I get that. So that way it helps players feel like heroes, like the game, you know, where it's like in D&D it'd be like, oh, I'm gonna try to do some heroic moment, and then you roll a 1, it's like, oh well, I trip over my own sword or some crap like that. Okay, I get that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really I find it very interesting because it's actually I wrote down and said this is the biggest departure from our usual games, and I definitely want to try it out. I can't speak to it confidently enough because it's definitely I want to experience it. Like I haven't seen it, I haven't practiced it, so I don't know.
Okay.
How it actually works. It's just very far from everything we know.
Yeah.
That's the part that I'm like, especially because like, I guess the DM does kind of roll some die, maybe perhaps, but not really in the sense that like they're rolling to hit your AC. They're just if they're gonna do the technique or not. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
You know, it's that's the part that's kind of.
So I mean,
it's all narrative.
So I mean, I feel like for a more creative type, this would probably be right up their alley.
Or like roleplay heavy players. Like
yeah.
Common exchanges, advance. So chapter 6 deals with the various playbooks. 164. See, yeah, I'll show you. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So let's go really quickly just for the sake of time of one of them, the adamant.
Okay.
This is your class. See, and it gives you this is your balance. Your principle is in this case restraint and result.
Okay.
So that goes on your character sheet. It tells you your starting stats, You get creativity 0, focus +1, harmony -1, passion +1. Your demeanor is above it all. You're a perfectionist, chilly, rebellious, flippant, and standoffish.
Okay.
I thought it was 2 words. Yeah, standoffish. And it gives you a little bit of your history, and then it gives a connections, like a blank. Take issues with my methods. Perhaps they have a point, but I certainly can't admit to that. So like you put the name of a player there.
Oh, okay.
So right off the bat, you start having connections with your players. Your balance, restraint, and result. Then it gives you your moves. You start checking them off. It actually has a section for move advice, like how to play this character and stuff like that. So it's 3 pages per class. And it really dives into.
Okay.
Yeah, it really dives into like, the stuff that you do. One interesting thing is that they have a growth question. We're gonna get to that here in a minute. But like, did you seek support or guidance from others? That is your growth as this archetype.
So what?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Hold on. You said you'll cover growth later. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So my thoughts on this one is this is more in depth. This is a more in-depth take on PCs. Not only does it encourage inward tactics, but also group connections, and they're all very unique. It's something they're all very unique.
Right.
And it's kind of fun because if you watch Korra and Aang series, you're like, oh, this is Sokka, this is Aang, this is Korra. Like you can clearly see where the connections are.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 7, Advancement. I actually enjoy this because so you can learn new techniques, but you have to do something about it. It's not just like you level up and then whatever, you check this off.
Right.
There's a whole section. It's kind of like the spell list in the book with a bunch of different techniques that you can learn. So you can learn new techniques, but you have to do something in game. You can't just have it. Either train with someone or find a mentor.
Oh, that is cool. Okay, I like that.
When you learn a new technique, the first time you use it in combat, it will give you a point of fatigue. But it goes from learned to practice.
Oh,
After practice,
okay.
you don't get penalized anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can use it, I think, that technique like once per battle or something like that. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But then, if you want to master that technique, it requires completing a certain task given to you in order to truly master the technique. The example that I keep going back to is when, this is late into the Aang show, is when Zuko and Aang, because Zuko trains Aang in firebending, go into the Sun people, the island of the Sun people, and learn the true meaning of firebending.
Okay.
So in order for you to master a skill, there is a whole episode dedicated to getting that character to master that skill. Sokka.
Go on.
Oh, go ahead. Like Sokka, he found a master that helped him understand not just how to fight with a sword, but understand his tactics and how he is as a warrior. And that was the whole episode, and it was excellent. So they really lean into it here with progression. It's not just, oh, you level up, boom, da-da. No, it's like there's a whole growth moment.
I am 1,000% down with that because it's so weird to me. Like if you really think about it, like there's some growth in like D&D that feels natural. Like, oh, a fighter can hit more than once. Okay, that that feels more natural. But that's but it's like if you're a monk and you just you level up to level 18, suddenly you just know how to do like the what's it? The like, oh god, what's it called? Like the exploding palm technique where like you just you're like just like divine interventions. Oh, like just shot a ray of wisdom into my brain. Like no, I like the fact it's like no, if you want this, like you're gonna have to like work for it.
And then that expands your season. Like that now that becomes an episode. And since you're all friends and you're all willing to help each other, you will go with that person to whatever it is that task is meant to be.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a good way to make a narrative focus on one character that doesn't feel like contrived. Because I'll be perfectly honest with you, like during Icewind Dale, like I did have obviously focused episodes on some certain characters, and I was just like, I'm really worried that the person that's not being focused on is like bored or annoyed
Yeah.
by this. But the fact is, like, no, this is part of the game. Like, this is mechanically, like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, like you're helping. You're gonna become a better. He's gonna become a better asset to your team.
Yeah.
By helping him do this.
But
And even like.
but it's also like we signed this social contract, knowing going into this game that we will all have a spotlight episode, kind of.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And then also the fun thing is that like it just reminds me so much of that episode of Sokka training to become like a martial artist because he's not a bender.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that he had to do the last minute was he had to make his own sword. And because he's so creative and so like out of the box, he brought a meteorite for the sword to be made with that material. The cool thing about it is that the whole team helped him, even Aang, to bring the meteorite because he's not a bender, so he can't move a meteorite to where the master is.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool moment, but like that's kind of like what I think about when I hear about this stuff. The rest of the party is there to support that player, and I found that really neat.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. I love that idea. And then I love the idea. It's like, no, you have this technique. You don't immediately get it. Like it's like you have to learn. Like you have to practice it and stuff like that. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's a whole section at the end with like there's here I can.
Is there a way to like completely screw up a technique? that
No,
like
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Oh, like to like you just like backfires on you.
Yeah, like
I guess it depends on the DM.
Like, oh hey, I read about this and I don't know, like something blows up in their face.
That does happen the first time that Aang tries to learn firebending. He burns Katara.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, maybe. It's a narrative thing that you decide to do. So for the techniques, there is universal techniques, group techniques, waterbending, earthbending, fire, air, weapons, and technology techniques.
Okay.
So like depending on what you do.
Yeah. Depending on your fighting style, I guess.
You can also learn specialized bending.
Specialized bending?
Bending.
Okay.
Blood bending, combustion bending, healing, lava bending, lightning bending, metal bending, seismic sense, and spirit bending. It's like a whole other thing when it comes to that kind of stuff that I'm not gonna get into right now.
Well, it's just like, but like, how do you get into those? Like, is it something?
Find masters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's a whole section of masters. It's like literally the master. Like you can find Uncle Iroh, and he will teach you things. Like there's this book has like every single character on it. Like he's from Korra. And he's a technology guy, so he will help you with your technology, and it gives you like a full like breakdown on everything.
So you can learn like how to do like lightning bending.
Yeah.
Or okay.
And I haven't read the whole thing, so there might be like a moment where like depending on certain situations, you just automatically by accident do lightning bending. And, oh wow, it burns you. There's some stuff, but then you can master. You can train it and make sure that like you become a master at it. So I don't know. Again, gotta play it. The other thing that I found really interesting is they call it off the center or off the edge, and it's the principal thing with the little fishes. And if you look at the what's it called the principle. So let's say for example the guardian, right, is self-reliance and trusting. If you lean too much towards one of them, you can move to another role, like the guardian. Let's say that is self-reliance. You lean too much into self-reliance, you can go into another playbook that leans more into self-reliance. So maybe the bold.
Really?
Because they have more confidence, or maybe not restraint. And then your stats changes. So your creativity goes up, your focus goes up, your harmony comes down to 0, passion -1. So I thought that was really interesting because it's like playing a paladin and then you start fighting like a fighter
and you shift over to a fighter. It's a natural mechanical flow instead of being like, hey, I'm not feeling this character. Can I just keep the name but just switch the class?
Yeah, and they have a section here for changing playbooks, which I just kind of mentioned briefly, and I'm probably wrong, so excuse me on that one. But then they also have a section for retiring a character and just straight up making a new character.
I mean, it's happened.
Not a lot of RPGs have like an actual dedicated bit for it, so I kind of appreciate it.
But it's happened like in how many TV shows has there been like a fan favorite? It's like no, they're contracts up, sorry, you know, or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they just wrote them off.
Yeah, but like, you know, in the last Airbender, like, you know, Suka was a complete asshole in the beginning of the series, and at the end he was everybody's favorite. He was everybody's best friend, but he still had flaws.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they grab all those elements of the show and really put it into the book. I found that really interesting. My thoughts on this whole section is that the advancement here puts what I wanted to do with Octavio into paper, where it is not as simple as, oh, I just learned lightning, so I'm gonna take this feat and boom, I have it. Instead, you have to weave it into the story.
Yeah.
You know, because you remember early on in like in Rhyme, like I was like, oh, Octavio by accident made this happen, like, but it was like this much, like it was just a throwaway line. It wasn't like, oh, I found a master that taught me how to do
Right.
Bible, you know?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like in a weird way, like I feel like standard D&D's too video gamey in that, where it's just like oh, level 5 fireball, like,
Yeah,
you know, like,
yeah,
I
exactly.
never done that before. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And then the first time you do it, it's like you've done it a million times. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
I really wish they would incorporate something like that into like a more standard RPG, where it's like, hey, this is your first time using the spell. There's a good chance it will just fail. Like it might not it might not be a catastrophic backfire, but maybe it's just like, hey, I never done this before, and it just like nothing like shows up or something like that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And I think it's pretty cool, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And then chapter 8 is how to run the game. But I really enjoy this because this is like, if you were ever into creative writing or wanted to write a play, this is a pretty good starting point. It is pages and pages of like how to run your game, like people's agendas, baselines of skills, like guidelines on how people react, you know, GM moves. Like there's like so much stuff on just how to be a dungeon master or a game master. There's pages on NPCs, what drives them, like how to come up with one, how to roleplay these and that and whatever, how to get a master, or how to play a master. I told you the people who actually teaches a skill, you know, or like a legendary NPC, like the avatar shows up, you know. They have a section on how to manage bending. I haven't read it, but like, you know, like just in case your players want to rip somebody's head out with fire, like, you know, how to mitigate that.
The avatar shows up. It's a good or bad thing depending on the era. It's like Kyoshi era, like we gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, oh god.
Kyoshi says, you know, they say stay strapped or get clapped.
yeah, pretty much. Chapter 9 is how to run your seasons and campaigns.
Okay.
Which is even more information on how to run your episodic show, like essentially.
Now, does it tell you how many? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's like, you know, it gives you a rundown of the first session, what you should do, crafting a season, character arcs, creating threads, you know, pacing your season.
Damn.
You know, finales. Oh yeah, there's so the big the BBEG moment is called a finale.
Okay.
It's not called, you know. And then seasons, like, does it carry over from the previous one? Like, did they not get the Fire Lord, or they got him but like he somehow disappeared and now nobody knows? Or is it like Korra, where it's like a completely different whatchamacallit,
villain,
bad guy, villain that they had to fight? Like, you know, like 2 chapters on just how to be a GM and how to run the game. Like huge information.
I really like that. That's really cool. How it's like it. I wish more stuff was a bit more handholdy like that, you know.
Yeah, but after that, like, you know, then the game becomes a completely like free narrative experience for you and your players.
So do you have to like map out your episodes like in advance? Like there's 9 episodes this season, like this.
Or I don't know how to answer that. I don't think so. I think it's more like as you see how it goes.
Okay.
You know, like. Maybe it's just a 3-episode thing.
Like a 3-episode holiday special or something like that.
Yeah. There's 4 pages on adventure hooks.
I mean, that's just really neat, because I mean, if they are gonna do, what's it? If it is gonna be episodic, like you should try to like at least give something for the GM to build off of, some kind of foundation, you know.
Look at this. They have. I just saw this for the first time. I haven't gotten this far, but it's adventure tools. You know, in addition to general guidelines provided in this chapter, you can also use adventure tools to drive the action forward in your story. They have like little blocks like escalation, the clock, flashbacks, special circumstances, anchor NPCs. So like they really pull the information from like a showrunner game. And then the last bit of it is just like NPCs and your bending abilities and stuff. But overall, like when I first started reading this one, I was like, it feels very not childish, not immature. What's the word? Young.
Yeah.
Like a person's. But then it dawned on me, like, what's wrong with that? Like, the Avatar has always been like, or the Avatar shows have always been very kid friendly and teenage, you know, drama and stuff like that. So like, they kind of make sense. Some of the mechanics, like I told you, like seem a little restrictive, but I think that's just my D&D brain, where like, oh, I'm gonna blow somebody's brain off, like, you know, not a big deal.
Well, I mean,
overall, I honestly want to give it a shot, but I'm scared that we're gonna freeze with the amount of narrative things that players and the GM have to do.
Right. Yeah. I do feel like this would have to be something where like everybody has to contribute, and that's gonna have that. I feel like that'd be something like you need to lay out, like even before session 0. Like if there's like a lot of people like, hey, we want to play this, like, okay, just so you know, it's not combat focused. Like, you know, you shouldn't have to blast your way out of most situations. You know, and
it's very much like the show. It's very character focused.
Mm-hmm.
It's about your character growth, how it interacts with the party. Like I can see a whole quote unquote episode go, and the only thing that happens is that two characters are hating each other now don't. You know, like, but that was like the point of that specific moment. I don't know. It seems very, very narrative focused.
Yeah,
I appreciate. But I know that this table sometimes is not the best at it.
It's just like I to me personally, I find that refreshing, where you can have a session where it's just the 4 characters on the road, and like something minor happens. Like it's not like they get robbed or some crap like that, but it's just like some event happens, and like the 4 characters bicker about it and argue, and then and then they make up at the end of it, and that can be. Like that's how it's supposed to be. Like that's how the game was. Like, you know, like we're not. It's not like as soon as you walk out on the road, like, oh, there's thieves and monsters and blah blah blah. Like, no, it could just be like, hey, I don't understand like why you got onto that person for how they dealt with that like broken bridge or some crap like that. Like that wasn't cool, you know.
Yep. And the cool thing is that the game has mechanic elements that can help. Like that actually like you feel like something happened. Like, you know, your balance went left or right, or you used a skill to help this person get through that blockage, or whatever. Like it's narrative, but you also have things in place that you are actively using specific to your playbook.
Yeah, I feel like the one thing I noticed is that the more I read different RPGs, the better I feel like my DMing style gets. Or GMing style rather, because I take little bits of this, little bits of that, and throw it in the pot. And I feel like this would be really great if you're trying to make something like travel interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Because then you can have like little minor conflicts that it's not the end of the world, you know. Like a tree fell in your path. It's not like it's gonna ruin everything, but you know. How will you as your characters solve it? You know, it's just little things like that.
Yep. So that's Avatar Legends, Andrew. So I kind of did an overview on this book. This like the big one, but then this has, I mean, it's a library, Manshi Tong's library. So it has like information on everything, which to me, I love it because I'm like, I love the show, I love the lore, so it's like it's all on paper. Like, it's here. It's kind of crazy. So I'm down to play it if you guys are. After Mechs. Actually, no. After Mechs, I want to do Death in Space.
Oh, but I mean, but it's like
and then after Death in Space, Avatar. Total shift.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a good palate cleanser where it's like, here, after this dark sci-fi post-apocalyptic nonsense, like, here's 4 friends out, or 4 to 5 friends out on an adventure, and they have some internal growth and whatnot, and maybe they
Maybe they have some tea.
learn something along the way. Maybe the Avatar was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless it's that Kyoshi person.
She scares me. Yeah, well, Andrew, I hope you enjoyed my explanation, my very rough explanation of Avatar Legends.
I didn't, but that's okay.
Okay, good.
No.
Well, I hope our listeners did enjoy it. Let us know what you guys think. When you play something like this, are you too used to Dungeons and Dragons where like everything is just hit the thing with a higher number? Because I am used to that. I don't know how I'm gonna react to this.
I mean, it's just I like the idea of having it be like, no, we can't resort to violence. I mean, you can, but you really shouldn't. So it's because whenever you set up it, I don't know if it's just me, maybe it's just I'm just like too much old school D&D, in this, but it's like every time I set up something, I'm like, what's honestly just stopping them from killing this person and take whatever it is they need.
Yeah.
So
for reals.
I don't know.
Well, I think we'll definitely play this eventually, because I think it's a very light, like you said, palate cleanser, because we play a lot of really dark stuff. Especially you, Andrew.
I like it. Okay.
I like it cold and dark.
I do. And then we're gonna go 15,000 years into the future after mankind's been destroyed and rebuilt with big robots, and it's gonna be awesome.
Then we're gonna go 10,000 years into the future where the galaxy is collapsing.
And there might be
might
be things out there.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let's do static. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to the episode of A Talk of Opportunity. I hope you guys had a good time. We're trying to shorten the episodes because honestly, I don't have enough time to do a lot of research. So I'm just being lazy. But also for your listening enjoyment, make sure to leave us a review here on YouTube or Twitch, wherever you're listening at. Facebook doesn't want to connect, so sorry, Facebook. But yeah, this episode will release on Wednesday. And we try to do an episode every other Wednesday for you guys. But with that, you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. And as always, keep on gaming.
Bye.